It's been a roller coaster of emotion, especially when you are in a bubble per se and you are seeing what is happening in other places. The topic is what you should know about a fixed system. What I understand is there is groups of individuals that have not experienced the other side of the game. And typically, those ones are the ones that are catapulted into a position to fix a broken system. So when we start talking about liberals and Democrats and things of that sort, this is the mint, put an argue in front of it, that that is presented in a roundabout way with that system. Now, there's a statement: the rich just get richer. There is no coincidence that those that have not experienced homelessness are the overseers of the homeless. Now, there is a whole bunch of stuff taking place regarding public safety. Now, because I've been in a broken system, I understand the approach. Let me tell you what I know about being in a shelter based system. The approach with some of these ones that are documented as family shelters, it's under they put them in certain categories. You have single, you have family, you have male, you have the CHURCH ones. And let me say this. It's a roundabout way of implementing what has already been established as broken in a shelter like community. One being, let's talk about it. In California, you have a cutoff period to receive cash aid. 4 years, I believe it is. 4 or 5 years or whatever. They may give you a grace period. It's already not enough money, first of all, to sustain a household. That's first. And all of you that say it's taxpayers' money, it is taxpayers like me. Because all of y'all that itemize and deduct, you receive something back. So it's important to state this on this conversation here. You don't fill out a W-9 form. If you are an independent contractor, like an engineer, a content creator, those are the ones that owe. Typically, if they don't have a side job, they're not receiving anything back at the during this time. So many of y'all have already received everything back. So don't drop that taxpayer foolery on me. I'm smart enough to understand that. Now, what I'm saying, this is the reason why they have funding for certain things. These big corporations come in and they give money for certain projects. The bottom line is the bottom line. Money talks and BS walks. When I'm talking about the problem with a fixed system is when they go in to fix something, the ones that are appointed to do so, individuals that are there to allocate these services stick their hand in the pot. Do you understand that's what's happening? I'm also smart enough to know that that is where all of the taxpayers' money is going, in someone's pocket. So it's not about the transients, it's about those that are allocated to do these services for the general public. Some of y'all need to be smarter at the way you approach people of a low income. Now, what I know is here in California, you are timed out with the cash aid, with certain housing programs. They'll assist you. They won't continue after they stop. When you have a closure of the sections that are 8, after they stopped, they did something called lottery. And that means if you happen to have the right name, the right connection, you may have a chance at getting 8 sections. When they stopped providing that, they came with the lottery. Then it came, we're going to assist you for a certain amount of time, especially if you're coming out of a shelter program. These are the family ones. They'll assist you with a certain amount of money, up to $1,500 the last time I checked. They also do it with people that are having issues with paying their mortgage. A lot of people do not know that there's shelters that have a certain amount of funds that are allocated to homeowners. Now, if there's already a system in place that says after a certain amount of time, you cannot receive cash. You may be able to get SNAP. You've already timed out of welfare to work and all of these wonderful programs that help people get on their feet, build resumes, and all of that stuff, right? You've already timed out of that service. Then you go into a shelter program and they implement it all over again. I've seen something that was very disturbing. First of all, I know that it's that time of the year. It's that time in general for someone else to come to the table and oversee America. And because of that, the situation gets iffy, sticky, and touchy because there are so many individuals that genuinely want to know what is happening. And because everyone has their own agenda, because they want certain individuals to oversee you, they're going to push a narrative. So what I'm saying is the system is not cohesive. If you have a program and they say, well, look, this person is timed out, they don't qualify for this service, it makes sense to build other services. Mind you, I said, once they closed the 8 sections, they decided to do a lottery. Then, for the people that weren't getting the lottery, they had public housing, they had the choice of assistance. Of course, you have to work. Now, mind you, the cost of living keeps going up. The funding stays at a minimum. So you say, if you go to one of these programs and say, I can't pay my mortgage this month, your mortgage is $3,000. They say, well, we'll give you up to $1,500. But you have to show me that it's proof that you'll be able to cover it next month or we're not going to give it to you. What? If you cannot show me that you'll be able to cover your mortgage next month, you do not qualify for it. You all need to understand the ins and outs of wording on these documents that allows people to get help. Now, it makes sense if you are someone that is injured and you're going back to work in a month. So here we have the conundrum, right? because we have a homeowner that is going to be homeless. This is how it works, y'all. You go into a shelter if it's open, right? You go into a shelter. You've already went through a fixed system, and the system said there's too many individuals benefiting off of this fixed system, so we don't have no room for you. You're going to have to go through another procedure, right? So now you're in the shelter and they're putting you through job readiness and all of this stuff and you're 55 years old and your resume looks better than the person that is instructing you on what to do off of somebody's thesis or vlog. Today, I'm going to show you what I looked at last night. And I'm not qualified for this position, but I don't want to be in yours next month. So this is how we're going to do this. This is how it's ran. So now you have somebody that is not qualified trying to teach you about how to stay off the street. Okay. So you saying, I can teach this class. How do you build how to build a landlord resume? Who goes in with a resume and a cover letter to a potential landlord? This is the stuff that is happening inside of fixed systems. We're not talking about the people in the kitchen that are taking 5 boxes of donated goods from the American people, from the corporations and the businesses and things of that sort. They're taking 5 boxes of ice cream, chicken, and then feeding individuals rations. This is what happens in a fixed system. Because everybody says, oh, well, there's shelters. Yes, and when you go into the shelter, you have someone that likes to stay there because of the perks. Now, one thing that I noticed about all of these variables to a fixed system is they all say mandatory DRUG tests, right? Because everyone believes that everyone that is homeless has some sort of addiction. Put an ad in front of it, right? So now you have someone there that is clearly on one themselves, deciding that they're going to put a T on you, right? They're going to put a T on you because today is Saturday. And they're going to take advantage of what was meant to fix a broken system. So now they decide they're going to drop 10 DRUG tests on you in 1 week. Because, hey, someone said in a document that I could do it. So now we have more wasted resources because of who gets appointed to allocate these services. Now, people need to understand that the one that is always at the bottom, no matter what race they are, is the ones that get blamed for everything. I'm telling y'all that within a fixed system, there's a lot of variables to maintaining the health of it. If you haven't seen my community section, you should. You should. You should scroll right on down and understand how the system is truly being fixed. Because when you get frustrated with the people in front of your business, the people in front of your home, you start to understand that it's not the people's fault. Because everyone goes with what someone else is saying. Someone else is saying, we have a protocol here. The protocol, whoever in all of these offices have created the protocol, so this should not be a problem. Not as big as it is. I'm really, I know I don't want to, because it just leaves a negative energy on everyone that hears it. And it starts with concentration. Now, I just seen something that really ticked me off, because I said, I know of some that already exist in California, and they are under the shelter program. It's a deterrent for help. When you start titling stuff for the shock, you must understand that it leaves a negative energy on those that need the help. When I said that there needs to be undercover bosses that go in to these places where they say that they are helping individuals and live in them, apply for the services. You cannot be Anglo-Saxon going in there, because it's not going to work. Nor can you be Hispanic. You have to be Afro-American, because then you're going to get the true energy. If you want to really see a change, that's what you do. I'm telling you that there has been so many ways thought about to fix a broken system. And when it got fixed, the people that got hired to maintain the system started getting greedy. This is how it works. It's a domino effect. We all know that some individuals is only going to go to the top. They want to know, they are following the money trail. Who is benefiting the most? But it is a trail. I'm telling you that they took one program and ended it and put it in another. There is, there's a thing called efficiency, right? When you go into any establishment, you're documenting the cost. We got toilet paper, paper towels, things that you need to run a business. That's just to name a two, right? Imagine if you are involved with a 501c3 and you have a worker there that's taking all of the toilet paper. If a company decides, hey, we're going to donate 60 pounds of chicken to the shelter, and they say, well, I'm going to take 6 bags of 10 pounds chicken, they're not going to tell. And then at the end of the month, everybody gets one piece of a chicken strip with a plate full of salad. This is the type of stuff that is happening in a fixed system. And most individuals don't care because they have not been in that system. The ones that make so much uproar about it have not been on that side. There's variables to homelessness. Not everyone that is out in the street is on something, has some sort of issue. Some people were homeowners. I know it's hard. Some people were celebrities at one point. Some people had good paying jobs and they ended up homeless. So you all have to understand that there's variables. For instance, I believe he's a football player. They found him unalive in an encampment. Everybody's probably like, what happened to Sassafras? I don't see him no more. He doesn't come to none of the functions. Imagine having to just be there and hope nobody recognizes who you are. There's not enough of that. And when it is, it's remember such and such. This is what happened to such and such. This is how it ended for such and such, while still being half of such and such age. We're talking about people's lives. You do understand that as you get older, all of the people that you know, they start croaking. So at some point, you don't have friends and family members that'll have your back if you end up in a situation. This is why all of these programs exist. Do some of y'all need to understand that? You need to share this live. Because it could be you. If you are given grace enough to reach an old age, you would definitely want to have some sort of housing. Just in case you cannot pay that TAX on your home every year. So we're not just talking about others because we're doing good at the moment. We're talking about ourselves. Because what if you make it to an age and they decide to say no more senior housing? Where you're going to end up. And in some places they say it's against the LAW to be homeless. That means that means they can take you to the Hooskow if you sleeping on the street. We already know that you can't do it in your car. It is. Let me say something. I come from a period where, because there was so much homelessness in a certain area, to clean up, to stop it, all the pollution, people using the bathroom outside, they had these nice little bathrooms, reminiscent of like what you see on construction sites. But these ones, they had, you could flush it. There was no septic tank. You leave out and the sprayers come on and spray everything. Clean it, sterilize it in all directions. I don't know if they still have them in San Francisco. But that's what they did, because they understood that when it is banned in other places, that means it's against the LAW to be homeless, they tend to migrate to California. Because ultimately, the people there just want it fixed. We don't want to see any homeless people. And what they do, they migrate to California because problem fixed, right? That is it.